Welcome to the Alcohol Reset, the podcast that helps you reset your habits, health, and relationship with alcohol without judgment or extremes. If you're looking to cut back, take a break, or just understand how drinking can affect your body and mind, you're in the right place. Each episode brings you science-backed insights on neuroscience, nutrition, and habit change to help you feel better, sleep deeper, and take control on your terms. I'm Mike Hardenbrook, best-selling author, neuroscience enthusiast, and habit change expert. I've helped thousands through my book and podcast to rethink their drinking, and now I'm here to help you do the same. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Mike Hardenbrook. Ever been there? It's the end of a long day, you're feeling stressed out, and maybe someone, or maybe even just that little voice in your head says, hey, just have one drink, a nightcap. It'll help you switch off. You'll sleep like a baby. Well, it sounds comforting, right? Almost traditional, like this guaranteed path to just finally getting some rest. But the reality, what the latest sleep research is telling us is it's way more complicated than that, honestly. Far less cozy. Today, we're going to talk about why this whole idea of using alcohol for real restorative sleep, it's basically a scientific impossibility. Alcohol and genuine recovery, they just don't mix. Simple as that. Our goal here is to kind of give you the inside track on this. We'll look at the whole story of the nightcap. Like, where did this ritual even start? Why does it stick around? And more importantly, what's actually happening in your body? What are those biological things going on that actively degrade your sleep quality, even when you think you've drifted off nicely? Look, if you care about your mental clarity, your physical recovery, how productive you are day to day, sleep quality is it. It's the foundation. And so many of us, maybe without even realizing it, we sabotage that foundation. We lean on alcohol as this bedtime ritual. So we're going to unpack the facts today so you can make a choice that's rooted in, well, science, not just old habits or tradition. Okay, let's start with where the word itself came from. This is actually kind of a fun historical tidbit. The original nightcap, it wasn't a drink at all. It was, believe it or not, a hat. Yeah, a physical cap, usually made of wool or cloth. People wore them to bed back in the, say, 18th, 19th centuries. Kept their heads warm in those drafty old houses. Then the phrase sort of evolved. It became slang for a small, usually strong drink, something you'd have right before heading off to bed. And here's where we get to the real reason this myth got so deeply ingrained. It's the medical context at that time. If you actually look back at what doctors were suggesting in the 1700s, the 1800s, yes, sometimes they did encourage a nightcap, a bit of brandy or port, maybe whiskey. But here's the thing, they weren't recommending it because they thought alcohol was somehow healthy for your biology. Not at all. They're recommending it because, well, they didn't have modern sleeping pills or even a good grasp of sleep hygiene back then. Pure distilled alcohol is one of the few easily available things that could sedate the central nervous system. So if someone was anxious or distressed, couldn't settle down, a strong drink offered that quick, even if temporary, relief. And that reliance, that's what cemented the term in our culture. It created this long-lasting connection. Drink before bed equals sleep aid. This tradition just stuck around. Even after medical science started figuring out how sleep actually works, it's basically inherited advice that lost its original context like centuries ago. All right, so now we get why the myth persists. Let's switch gears and look under the hood, so to speak. Let's talk about the deception, because that's really what a nightcap is. It's playing a trick on your body, the reason you feel drowsy right away. That part's real. Alcohol is the central nervous system to present. What it does is it floods your brain with GABA. And think of GABA as like the brain's main brake pedal chemical. It slows everything down neuronally. And that's exactly why you get that initial sleepy feeling, helps you maybe fall asleep a bit faster. And here's something interesting the research points out. Alcohol also temporarily messes with adenosine. Adenosine is this chemical that naturally builds up in your brain the longer you're awake. It creates what scientists call sleep pressure. Alcohol kind of artificially dampens that signal, gives you this fake sense of calm, that immediate drowsiness. But here's where it gets really critical. This is where the disruption starts. That initial sedation is just setting you up for a fall later on. As your body starts metabolizing the alcohol, usually 3 to 5 hours after you drink it, your liver's working overtime. And as that depressant effect wears off, your brain kind of senses the shift and starts to overcompensate. It kicks into a higher gear. This reaction leads to what are called mini-arousals. Tiny little awakenings during the night. You probably won't even remember them. But imagine trying to, run a really important software update on your computer while someone keeps flicking the power switch on and off. That's kind of what fragmented sleep does to your brain's repair processes. The real kicker, though, the impact on REM sleep. REM rapid eye movement sleep. This stage is absolutely crucial. It's when you dream, it's when your brain processes memories, helps regulate your mood, basically does all the vital psychological housekeeping. And the science on this, it's crystal clear. Having alcohol before bed can slash your REM sleep time by a pretty significant amount. We're talking 20 to 40% less REM. If you're drinking regularly before bed, you're deliberately shortchanging your brain during its most important time for emotional balance and learning consolidation. You might be technically asleep for 8 hours, but the actual quality of that rest, severely, severely damaged. And finally, let's touch on that infamous 3 a.m. wake up. You know the feeling. Waking up suddenly, eyes wide open, feeling kind of wired, maybe anxious. That's often down to something called stress hormone rebound. See, as your body fights back against the initial sedative effect of the alcohol, it starts pumping out stimulating chemicals to try and get back to normal. Chief among them, cortisol, your main fight or flight stress hormone. So that cortisol spike, happening hours after you had that drink, is your body trying to rebalance itself. But the effect is, it wakes you up, puts you on high alert. So the very drink that maybe calmed you down at 10 p.m. is actively stressing your system out at 3 in the morning. The complete reversal. Okay, so if the science is this clear that a nightcap basically tricks you, it ruins your sleep quality, why on earth does this habit stick around so stubbornly? Well, we talked about the history, but there are a couple of modern reasons too. First, it's just glamorized. You see it all the time in movies, on TV. The sophisticated character unwinding with a nice glass of whiskey or something before bed. It looks cool, right? Relaxing. But it's a terrible model for actual recovery. And second, that short-term comfort factor. Falling asleep faster feels like a win. Even if it's setting you up for problems later, that immediate effect reinforces the habit. It's easy to fall into that trap. But look, if your goal is real, deep, restorative rest, we've got to ditch the myth. We need to embrace smarter ways to wind down, things backed by actual science. If you're currently relying on that evening drink, the key is to replace that habit. Not just stop it, but replace it with a solid behavioral routine. What does that mean? It means really dedicating, say, the last hour before bed to winding down properly. Dim the lights. Seriously, dim them way down. The light, especially the blue light from screens, tells your brain, hey, stay awake. It suppresses melatonin production. So eliminate screens entirely for that last hour. Don't just put your phone face down, turn off the TV, put away the tablet, the laptop. Create a screen-free zone around bedtime. Instead, bring in things that naturally calm you. Gentle stretching, maybe some deep breathing exercises. Journaling could be great too, just getting thoughts out of your head and onto paper. These kinds of actions. They signal to your nervous system, okay, the day's done, time to rest. And they do it without messing up your brain chemistry. Now, since we're talking about supporting your body, let's look at things that actually help your natural sleep processes, instead of just knocking you out temporarily. If you're looking for something to genuinely replace that nightcap ritual, you want things that calm the nervous system without that rebound effect later. For example, there's really good evidence supporting magnesium glycinate. Why that specific form? Well, magnesium itself is great for calming the nervous system, but the glycinate part means it's bonded to glycine, an amino acid that also has calming properties and helps it get into the nervous system more effectively. It promotes deeper, more restorative rest without the harsh sedative effect of alcohol. Another one worth knowing about is 5-HTP. This is basically a precursor. It helps your body naturally make more serotonin, and then from that, melatonin. So it helps balance your sleep cycles, your sleep architecture, rather than just shattering it like alcohol does. These aren't like instant knockout drops. They're about supporting your body's own chemistry, helping you achieve the quality rest you're actually designed to get. And that's what we focus on at Cloud9, finding these kinds of science-backed, natural supports for better well-being. So let's wrap this up. We've looked at the history, we've traced the science. The word nightcap might sound cozy, might sound traditional, but what it really represents is just outdated advice. It's inefficient at best and harmful at worst for your sleep. Alcohol sedates you, yes, initially, but then it systematically robs you of the deep restorative sleep your body and brain absolutely need to function well. But here's the good news. You absolutely do not need to rely on this old myth. You have the choice. You can choose genuine quality sleep over just being sedated. By making that switch, moving to smarter wind-down routines, maybe incorporating targeted physiological supports like the ones we discussed, you protect your brain's ability to do its job overnight, processing memories, regulating mood, recovering physically. Just think about it. Consider the difference. Waking up feeling truly refreshed, clear-headed, ready for the day, versus waking up groggy, maybe anxious, feeling like you're already behind because you didn't get real rest. That commitment to protecting your sleep. That's not a small thing. That's the foundation for actually succeeding, not just surviving. It really is time to retire the nightcap for good and make quality sleep your non-negotiable recovery tool. That's a wrap for today's episode. If you got something out of this, do me a quick favor, leave a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. It helps keep the show going and would mean the world to me. Got ideas, comments, or questions? Shoot me an email at mike@trycloud9.com. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're looking for extra support, check out Cloud9, makers of Daily Restore, a once-a-day supplement to support your body from alcohol's effects, and Rise and Unwind AM/PM, a 24-hour combo to curb cravings, balance mood, and improve sleep when taking a break. Go to trycloud9.com and use the code PODCAST to save 15% on your next order. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.